Picture this. A bunch of professionals sitting around in a meeting. These people all make plenty of money. They've got advanced degrees. When one person starts yelling at another person, making everything uncomfortable for everyone, what effect do you think that has on the group? Well, I've seen this many times, both at Lock Haven University, not usually in my department because we get along well, but in other groups, and certainly in lots of other jobs that I've had, and I bet you have too. This is the first video for the Coronacation that we're all on now. I hope you guys are all doing well. And today, we're going to talk about group communication, roles, styles, and something called groupthink. And then I'm going to direct you to watch some videos on a movie called Dream Team, which is a great movie. It's actually one of my favorites. I'm just, instead of being formal about this and trying to do it in a classroom, I decided to just be informal and do them at home. As you can see, I'm on my back porch wearing my Lock Haven t-shirt. I've got an audience of one. Here he is. That's Big Dan. He pretty much looks like my students usually do, so I feel right at home. Right, Big Dan? Are there squirrels? No, I'm just messing with them. There's no squirrels here. Okay. Well, I'm going to sit back and relax. It's very likely for part of the semester I'm going to be teaching in my pajamas. Right now I've got my pajama bottoms on, so, you know, a lot of your professors are probably not wearing their underwear when they're doing the web stuff. All right, so let's talk about groups. I know you guys have all been in groups. You're actually a group generation. You were raised with the idea that working in groups is better. And in a lot of ways, it really is better because you really get the best ideas from brainstorming with people who don't have exactly the same perspective you do. It kind of makes sense. And I know a lot of times I've been in a group. I'm on a big search committee right now. And we're in the meetings, and I've definitely had my mind made up about something, and then someone will say something, and it will completely change my mind and change the course of the group. So working in groups is actually good, but it does have its drawbacks. So let's talk about that. And we're also going to talk about the typical roles that people take on in groups. This is largely based on your personality. It's been very well researched and well documented. Everybody calls it a little bit different. If you have your workbook, you can follow along in your workbook, but if you didn't bring your workbook home, don't worry about it because I'm just going to cover everything that's in there. Typically in groups, there are three kinds of roles that people take on. The first of these roles is called task-oriented. I don't think this is that hard to figure out. You know the type. It's people who are very focused on getting it done. We've got to do this right now. Get her done, get her done, get her done. I'm sure that you would not have a great deal of difficulty imagining me in one of these roles. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's no right or wrong way to be. What you really hope for is sort of a mix of personalities in your group. But a task-oriented person is going to be focusing on the task. The next type of role is called a maintenance role. It's kind of a funny name because when I think of maintenance, I think more of getting things done. But it really doesn't have to do with that. It has more to do with the maintenance of the relationships of the members of the group. Kind of like they're worried about the harmony of the group, people getting along, and the group functioning on a social level. Now, don't get me wrong about this. It doesn't mean that if you are maintenance-oriented, that you are just a goofball who doesn't want to do anything. It just means that it's important to you that everybody has a good time doing it. So now, for now, let's just figure out which one of those two things you are. I'm guessing, based on what I just said, it was very easy for you to figure out which one you are. And maybe if you're thinking about some groups or teams that you're on, you could very easily think about what other people are. And you still know that the group kind of needs both. If you're too task-oriented, you might lose the fun of working in the group. And if you're too socially oriented, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to get things done. So you want to mix. Okay, that should be pretty easy to understand. There is in the workbook, though, listed a third type of role. This is the one that definitely has a negative tone. it's actually called an individual role or a self-serving role. And it is, there are a lot of ways. This is my dog. Dan, you can't sit on me right now. You can't sit here now. Sorry. Yeah, okay. So, that's life with a Great Dane. So, the individual role, this person very often is focused on him or herself in the group. What is in it for me? And they might be very outright in talking about that, or it might be kind of a hidden agenda. Either way, that person is in it for him or herself, okay? Now, they can be dangerous, because if you have someone who's only really focused on themselves, they can act like they're focused on other people, but in reality, they're doing things in the background to make things go their way. And you can imagine that would take on many kinds of behaviors. I know, just for an example, when you're working in student groups, you might have somebody who is, their only goal is to just get through it. And they're not really considering other people's grades or what other people are experiencing. They just want to get through it for themselves, in possibly with a negative, not a good grade. Or you could have somebody who's really just wants to get through it for themselves, just even if they want a really good grade, and they might just take over the whole group. Also, you could have whiners, people who act like they're dumb, they act like I don't get what she wants, and and they kind of complain but never really do anything about it. That's likely to be a very negative kind of role. So an individual role can be just about anything where the person is focused not so much on the group outcomes. Okay, now let's talk about I'm just going to end the video there. I'm keeping an eye on my time. I want to keep them short, so we're just going to end right there. Think about which one you are. Think about other things that you've seen. Sorry, I'm not real tech savvy.